It's time for The Verdict. The Verdict is a lively discussion of current events and legal issues pertinent to Oklahomans. The Verdict is hosted by Kent Meyers and Mick Cornett. The Verdict is brought to you in part by Betcher, Martin, Jean, and Jackson. When hurt people need help. Betcher, Martin, Jean, and Jackson in Ponca City. It's time for The Verdict.
And welcome to The Verdict. I'm Kent Meyers, and we're so glad you'd join us again this Sunday morning. We're really pleased today to bring in just a few minutes back a guest that has been with us a number of times over the history of our show and always gives us good information, and there's a lot of information to hear today. I bring you greetings from my partner who is not here today. He's absent, Mick Cornett, but he has promised me faithfully he will be back next Sunday, and I'm confident that he will add much to the show when we bring him on again, as he is usually here. Dog days of summer, don't believe it. Perhaps that used to be the case in Oklahoma during this time period. It is not true anymore. There's a Norman, Oklahoma City axis of sports activity that is unprecedented. There are things going on that most of us just read about. Hopefully many of you will get out and observe and enjoy. But we're going to hear about that. We're going to hear about, it's not too soon to be talking some football. We're going to talk a little bit about the Bowl Championship Series with Joe Castiglione. We're going to be talking about women's softball, Title IX, a number of subjects like that, all of which are what cause us regularly to invite Joe Castiglione back to join us for a regular appearance. He'll be here in just a minute, but first we need to take a break and let you hear from the people who make this show possible. So this is Kent Meyers. You're watching The Verdict. We'll be back in just a minute.
My name is Fred Betcher. I am the founder and senior partner of the law firm of Betcher, Martin, Jean, and Jackson. For over 35 years, we have provided quality legal representation to hundreds of injured Oklahomans from the convenience of 3 statewide locations. When hurt people need help, they call us, Betcher, Martin, Jean, and Jackson.
Call 1-800-834-8877 for a free consultation.
Guten Tag. Are you bored of going to the same old place for dinner? Join us at the Keller and the Castle for your dining experience. We offer a full menu of authentic German cuisine. Our romantic ambiance with its different settings lends itself for weddings, parties, and that special date. If you never tried German food, I challenge you to join us and experience the Keller and the Castle. Vielen Dank, auf Wiedersehen.
Watch CNN at 6 and 10 on KSBI. KSBI now offers the most trusted name in news every weekday evening at 6 and 10. Get the latest national and international news, including sporting news, business news, technology, entertainment, and political news, as well as the most informative and relevant special reports, and live weather updates with meteorologist Brady Bruce. KSBI, Oklahoma's family station, now offers the most trusted name in news. Watch CNN at 6 and 10 on KSBI.
Welcome back to The Verdict. I'm Kent Meyers, and today we are pleased to have a very familiar face and guest rejoining us on The Verdict, Joe Castiglione, the University of Oklahoma Athletic Director since 1998. Joe is a Maryland graduate, is a husband and father of 2 children. He has been at OU since '98, serving as Athletic Director, and every budget that he has put together at the University of Oklahoma has been a balanced budget, which is something that many college presidents would just die for all over the country, but is not the rule. It's really the exception to have a balanced athletic department budget, and that I know takes a lot of hard work. Every year, it seems like OU has several teams competing for national championships, and that doesn't happen by accident. It takes a lot of work on the athletic department's part to bring that about in the hiring of coaches and recruitment and providing resources and the like. OU has had its third consecutive finish in the top 20 for the Sears Cup, which is the prestigious award for athletic programs across the country. Joe has agreed to make regular appearances with us, and Joe, we're really pleased to have you back. Thank you very much.
Oh, it's always my pleasure, Kent, and I miss Mick being here. So.
Well, I do too, and I know our viewers do.
Absolutely.
There's an air of unprofessionalism on this side that is taken care of when Mick is here. Let's talk a little bit. Let's talk a little football to start with, but a subject that got a lot of talk last football season near the end of it, the Bowl Championship Series. I know you're involved in the process of dealing with the BCS. Can you tell us what's going on?
There are actually 2 or 3 issues that are being addressed right now. One deals with the current BCS structure and how the teams are selected to participate in BCS games. Certainly those people around Oklahoma can relate to the decision-making process at the end of the last 3 or 4 years, even going back to the year where we won the national championship, where there's been some amount of debate about the 2 teams playing in the national championship game, always based on the difference between the BCS poll and the 2 opinion polls that appear during the course of the regular season.
The coaches and the writers, I guess.
Coaches and the writers, the AP or the coaches poll, which is published by USA Today. While they give opinion based on what those voters see, sometimes it doesn't jive with the BCS poll, which includes a variety of different factors. Last year, when Southern Cal finished #1 in both polls but wasn't able to participate in the national championship game, it created a big debate. So one of the initiatives has been to look at the evaluation system and try to find a way that addresses those kinds of concerns that have been debated over the last 3 years. In most cases, Oklahoma still would have played in the national championship game last year, but this change will address the fact that a team that finishes 1 in both opinion polls has to play in that game. The next issue is really dealing with the BCS beyond 2006, and that has created a variety of debates nationally, primarily because the schools that are currently accessing the BCS games have a guaranteed access based on conference championship finish. Mm-hmm. There are some football playing conferences out there that believe they should get the same guaranteed access, even though they've never had any access to any of these 4 bowls in the last 50 years, let's say. They believe they should have guaranteed access.
Now, they do have some access through at-large selection, do they?
That's exactly where I was headed. The debate, that's okay. The debate, is based on guaranteed versus the normal access that they have currently by finishing highly ranked in the opinion polls, by having obviously a championship type season, by playing a schedule against some of the best competition. They can get in those games right now. They want the guaranteed access, which also guarantees them a revenue based on their participation in a bowl. That has created a real big debate. It has involved Congress. It has involved all sorts of legal opinions. We maintain that there isn't any antitrust violation there. In fact, antitrust counsel has been involved since the day this concept was ever formed. Okay. But there's all this debate, and now they're trying to find out how to make it work. The presidents have said we'd like to add a 5th bowl game, which create the access. The current members are concerned about that because when you add 1 more bowl to the mix, it can devalue the product we have in place. But we're working through all those machinations, and it's going to take some time. Very difficult process.
What's your prediction? Do you not how it's going to come out, but when will the final decision be made?
I don't think anything could be decided before fall, and maybe even late in the fall. Of course, we're dealing with the next contract, and so we're trying to get ourselves in position so once we decide what can be done, and we're involving the bowl partners, we're involving television networks, we're involving all sorts of expertise, then we can put the bid together on how we're going to see postseason play beyond 2006.
Okay, but for this upcoming season, we shouldn't expect any change.
No change in the number of bowls.
Right.
You may see a change in the way that the polls involve participating teams, what kinds of things they involve, from margin of victory to schedule strength to the type of conference you're in to the opinion polls and the like.
Let's stay on football, but change the subject just a little bit. I don't want to dwell on Colorado's much publicized problems, or alleged problems, but there's been a lot in the media about it. What I would like to focus on rather is some indications from the NCAA that they'd like to see some of the recruiting rules limited in access to recruits, how long visits can be, when they can be, and the like. Do you see that on the horizon?
No doubt, Kent, that recruiting is the lifeblood of any sport that an institution sponsors. And a lot of times our success depends on the quality of the coaches, the approach that the institution takes to sports sponsorship, and the way they can attract prospective student athletes. There's no doubt that we can always improve. And unfortunately, it takes situations like this to bring light to certain areas that need to be addressed. But the whole model isn't bad. And I think there's been a bit of an overreaction in some cases. I think the operative approach is appropriate reaction. Yeah. We know there are a variety of different ways that we can improve. One is looking at the means we have in place to create the best experience for the prospect when they come to the campus. Keep in mind, they only have 48 hours from the time they arrive to the time they must leave. We already have a great deal of question being raised that we don't spend enough time with prospective student athletes, getting to know them, their family, what they want, their interests, their character. And now we're talking about significantly cutting back the amount of time that we have with them while they're on campus. Think of them. They have to try to get a glimpse, a snapshot of what it's like to be a student on a particular campus. They roll into town, sometimes their flights are delayed and this and that, and you get them there, they want to get them with current players, you want to get them with faculty, staff, tour the campus, see the facilities, get to know the community. It's really a short amount of time.
Speaking of a short amount of time, I have
you've got to take a break.
Interrupt so
we can come back to this.
Bring on some commercial messages, but we'll get back to that when we come back. This is Kent Myers with Joe Castiglione. You're watching The Verdict. We'll be right back.
All children deserve a life with hope and love, but sometimes they experience a life of pain, neglect, and abuse.
When that happens, each child deserves all the quality assistance and representation that can be offered in our legal system. For more information, call 23-CHILD.
Oklahoma Lawyers for Children, helping to bring hope and love back to the lives of abused children.
My name is Fred Betcher. I am the founder and senior partner of the law firm of Betcher, Martin, Jean & Jackson. For over 35 years, we have provided quality legal representation to hundreds of injured Oklahomans from the convenience of 3 statewide locations. When hurt people need help, they call us, Betcher, Martin, Jean & Jackson.
Call 1-800-834-8877 for a free consultation.
Classic hits. Cool 105.5. Playing only your favorite songs from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Cool. Classic hits. Cool 105.5.
Bringing out the best in each student. That is the simple goal and tradition of Heritage Hall. The focus on the individual shapes the educational experience at Heritage Hall. Each student benefits from small classes, able, dedicated teachers, a solid academic curriculum, and exceptional co-curricular programs of athletics, arts, community service, and other activities, parental involvement, personalized counseling, and the development of responsibility, integrity, and love of learning. If you want education taught with pride, then you want Heritage Hall.
And welcome back to The Verdict. I'm Kent Myers. Mick Cornett will be back with us next week. And this week we are really pleased to have back again a regular guest and always a welcome guest, Joe Castiglione, the athletic director at the University of Oklahoma. Joe, I was rude to you unintentionally, but cut you off in mid-sentence. You were talking about the problems in recruiting rules.
By the way, it's not the first time us Italians have been cut off in mid-sentence. That happens a lot. That's why we have our coffee cups spread out. I use my hands to talk too. But what I wanted to finish saying that all of this attention on recruiting has brought better focus to the type of experience we provide for a prospective student athlete, perhaps even parents or guardians that come with a prospect. But we do need to remember that it's their visit. We're trying to provide them a glimpse at student life while they be on our campus for 4 or 5 years. We've got to make it as thorough as it possibly can be. But there's certainly a number of different things we can do better and how we can inform hosts or people that are with the prospective student athletes while they're on our campus.
It takes some vigilance, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Let's talk a little bit on a different subject now about what I opened the show with about the dog days of summer. This is not the dog days of summer, if it ever was, in Oklahoma insofar as sports is concerned, particularly in Norman, Oklahoma City. Can you give our viewers an idea of what has gone on in the recent past and what's going on now and in the near future?
When we launched our Great Expectations campaign 3 years ago and we talked about the need for improvement of facilities or expansion of facilities, we said at that time we would be aggressive at bidding on Big 12 championship events, NCAA championship events. And this is really the first year, not the first year we've ever hosted those kinds of events, but the first year that our plan has really come to fruition. Just since the 1st of May, we have hosted Big 12 men's and women's track championships, the Big 12 men's and women's tennis championships, an NCAA tennis regional, the Big 12 softball championships. We've had, of course, the College World Series here in Oklahoma City, which just completed over Memorial Day weekend. We've got the NCAA baseball regional coming up, and those are events that we have worked with, various organizing bodies here, volunteer groups to bring to Central Oklahoma. It's not just focused on Norman and the facilities we have on our campus, but also on Oklahoma City. So obviously Ken has created a great economic impact for our communities. And also it shows that the University of Oklahoma has outstanding facilities that can absolutely host these championship type events. And in the future, we're going to continue to do the same thing. We're working on trying to bring Big 12 baseball back here on a regular basis, Big 12 men's and women's basketball tournament, and also NCAA national championship events like in 2006, where we'll have men's gymnastics and wrestling right here in this area. So really puts a lot of strain on our staff, but it certainly showcases what we have to offer here in Central Oklahoma.
Yeah, one might ask, a regular viewer of The Verdict might ask, why in the world did you allow Marita Hines to retire?
Well, if people were watching, when we had a show not too long ago, approximately a year ago, and you had Marita on, we said we were going to allow her to get away from this, but not too far. Yeah. And there's no question that our ability and the quality reputation that we have out there with Big 12 and the NCAA is due in large part to Marita and her ability to organize, get people together, get volunteers in place, and to run effective and quality events. And she has been running literally from pillar to post for the last month, and I think now she's ready to take a breather and then maybe enjoy what she started to do, and that was kind of retire.
Yeah. Well, she's been, I've seen her face a number of times in relation to the Women's Softball World Series held in Oklahoma City, which you all hosted. Talk a little bit about that event, what Marita does to bring it here and to keep it here and to staff it, and what kind of impact it has.
Well, I think Marita personally has created one of the events that has become a jewel for the NCAA. At one time, it had this sort of nomadic existence. You know, it went from one place, didn't really, have a lot of following, wasn't focused, in the right way. Bringing it here to Oklahoma City, the All Sports Association partnering, creating more volunteers, some sponsorships, attention to a facility, fundraising in place, the city getting behind the event, the expansion of the Hall of Fame Stadium, the support of the people in this area, and of course, credit has to be given a little to our own softball team and our coach Patty Gasso, first getting our team to the College World Series and then being there 5 straight years is a feat in itself. But it's created some local interest to go along with really a crown jewel in a sense of the NCAA championships now. And it's had so much momentum that now ESPN has partnered with this over the last 3 or 4 years, and it's seen a great interest nationally in this event. The way they've set up their program, the ratings these games have received, the quality of the competition, all has sort of morphed out to, I think, now putting an opportunity in place for the NCAA to sort of lift it up and compare it to some of their best championships. And so much so that ESPN and the NCAA has seen sort of this opportunity to change the format a little bit. The expansion of the number of teams participating in the NCAA softball tournament has gone from 48 to 64. And now they're going to contest those early round games over 2 weekends instead of 1. And to make that happen, they've caused a change in when this event will be held. So it's no longer going to be held on Memorial Day. It's being moved to a week later. ESPN having 2 properties now, the baseball and the softball NCAA championships, are trying to create the essence of a June Madness like they have with college basketball at March Madness. I'm not sure that's the moniker that will stay, but it's created a whole different focus. And now it's extending our seasons into June, and people have a chance to be part of these championships for many weeks instead of just 1 or 2.
Joe, we're running out of time again. Let me just ask you about 30 seconds, because I want to save the last minute for Sears Cup. 30 seconds on graduation rates and how Oklahoma's doing with graduating their athletes.
We're proud of the fact that we had the highest graduate rate in the Big 12 Conference this year, 74%. In fact, it's the highest Oklahoma's ever had. We expect to have high graduation rates. The first step to high graduation rates, Kent, is retention. We've had some struggles with retention over the last few years. One sport like football, we've changed coaches so much over the decade of the 90s, and when you do that, a lot of times, student athletes will come and go because of their interest in playing for one coach or the other, playing time, philosophies, etc. Other student athletes are transferring in and out of sports nationally now, or leaving early to go try their hand at the pro game. We've got to change, the focus in college athletics to keep students in school. We'll have better graduation rates. The academic reform movement is going to go a long way to making that happen.
Got 30 seconds. Tell us about the Sears Cup. It's the crown jewel of college athletics. Where are we and what can we expect?
Each year there's been this assessment of across-the-board success in college sports programs. The Sears Cup has been the way that it's happening. In the last 4 years, we've finished in the top 20, and that hadn't happened at Oklahoma. And this year, we have a chance to maybe have our highest overall finish. We've won some championships. We haven't, won as many maybe as the past few years, but across the board, even sports like women's soccer is a relatively new sport here at Oklahoma, competed in NCAA tournament play. Other sports have had greater postseason success. With baseball, golf, men's and women's track still competing, we'll see. But we've got a chance to have our highest finish ever.
Well, good luck on that. We wish you the best. We've been so pleased today to have Joe Castiglione, the athletic director from the University of Oklahoma, and he knows he has a standing invitation. We hope to see you back soon. Let's take a break, and then we'll be back.
American Express Tax and Business Services. We're accountants. We do taxes, business valuations, estate planning, and consulting. And we're right here in Oklahoma, working with the owners of small and medium-sized businesses. Steve Wilsey and Stuart Meyer have the resources and the experience. American Express Tax and Business Services. In Oklahoma City, the phone number is 405-843-5311.
Tornadic storms tore across Oklahoma and the central and southern plains over your Memorial Day weekend. Brady Bruce and the KSBI weather team proved their commitment to the families of Oklahoma.
The storm cell approaching from the west, numerous indications of lowering and rotation. However, apparently nothing on the ground at this point.
You can always catch our weather updates on 93.3 KKNG FM. Over the air channel 33. We'll be monitoring this storm as it continues to cross on through. Keep it here on KSBI, your family's weather source.
KSBI is giving Oklahoma a whole new way to watch morning TV. Join us every weekday morning from 6:30 to 8 for Hello Oklahoma. An hour and a half of news, information, weather, and much, much more. Join the brother and sister team of Brenda Bennett and Brady Bruce every weekday morning on Hello Oklahoma. They're Oklahoma natives who are dedicated to providing quality programming to the entire state. In addition to interesting guests, national news, and the most interactive weather technology this market has to offer, we also throw in a little bit of fun. Join us every weekday morning from 6:30 to 8 for Hello Oklahoma on KSBI, Family Television for Oklahoma.
The Journal-Record is pleased to be a sponsor of The Verdict. The Journal-Record, since 1903, the best source of Oklahoma business news and legal information.
Welcome back to The Verdict. Still have Joe sitting with me on the set, and I'm glad that he could stay around for this. We want to announce that in the fall, the date is yet uncertain, we're going to have Joe back, and we're going to expand our show to an hour, and we're going to cover a number of subjects. We think by the September-October time period, many of the topics will be that Joe has referred to earlier will be resolved, and we'll know where we stand or how we have come out, and also there'll be a number of things going on with football, etc. So we are pleased to announce that Joe's coming back for an extended show in the fall, and we'll let you know with plenty of advance notice when that's going to be. In order to stay reasonably balanced, I also want to report to you that I've put out a personal invitation to Harry Birdwell, the athletic director at Oklahoma State University, who is just doing a grand job up there and making a lot of strides forward, to join us on a show in the near future, and we fully expect Mr. Birdwell will join us. I have picked out an orange tie to wear that day, and we will welcome him with open arms and want to find out what's going on in Oklahoma State athletics. We will be pleased this coming Sunday to give you former Mayor Kirk Humphreys, a Republican candidate for the United States Senate position here in Oklahoma. He's going to come on and talk to you, as have some of the other candidates, about their candidacy, what they hope to accomplish, and you'll be looking forward to that, I know. Mick will be with us on that show. And so for all of us here at The Verdict, we hope that you'll go to our Verdict website, theverdict.tv. Tell us what show you'd like to see us bring on, and we'll do our best to bring the guests and the subjects to you. As always, we're so pleased you joined us. This is Kent Myers. Have a good Sunday. This is The Verdict.